Izzy and I have been friends since birth, practically raised together. Our bond strengthened during college, but after that, we drifted apart somewhat. However, until recently, we maintained a strong connection. Post-college, when Izzy was 23, she went on a few dates with Jake, my now fiancé. Despite being best friends, I didn't know much about Jake because Izzy often had casual dates that didn't become serious. We became roommates about a year later, rekindling our closeness. It was during this time that I met Jake and we hit it off. When I showed Izzy his picture, she recognized him and mentioned their previous dates. Despite my preference for preserving friendships over romantic relationships, I asked Izzy if it was okay to pursue Jake. She joked about it not becoming serious, and I took it lightly. Jake and I quickly became serious, and while Izzy and I had lost touch due to my relationship and work priorities, she remained supportive. However, when I got engaged, her reaction was unexpected. She expressed disbelief and questioned my decision, but I dismissed it as concern. She agreed to be my maid of honor alongside my sister. Things took a turn when I posted about our engagement on Instagram. While others congratulated us, Izzy made a comment insinuating Jake's previous interest in her, making both of us uncomfortable. Despite addressing it with her, she continued to make similar remarks, claiming it was just her way of joking. During a dinner party we hosted, Izzy persisted in making references to her past with Jake despite my clear discomfort. When I confronted her, she brushed it off as overreaction on my part. Feeling disrespected and frustrated, I asked her not to attend my wedding. Now, I'm left questioning if I'm overreacting and risking a lifelong friendship over what might have been just jokes to her. The situation has caused division among our mutual friends, adding to my anxiety. I'm unsure if I'm in the right or if I've misunderstood Izzy's intentions. I'm struggling to comprehend why she's not being supportive or positive, which feels unfair. It's confusing, and I don't feel like an idiot for feeling this way. She seems too proud to let things go, clinging to the belief that you found love with a man she dismissed. This mindset is unrealistic. She insists, I was here first, but in my honest opinion, you made the right choice. Who knows what behavior she might exhibit when her pride transforms into jealousy at a crucial moment. This is your wedding, not a public forum. When someone intentionally disrespects you, it's okay to cut them off. It's unfortunate that your friendship has come to this, but Izzy is the one instigating the problem, not you. Indeed, Izzy seems like the type to wear white to her friend's wedding. She loses any justification by claiming it was just a joke, especially after you've expressed discomfort and asked her to stop. You have every right to enforce your boundaries, even if it means ending a long friendship. A good friend would prioritize your feelings over their need for attention, which appears to be Izzy's motivation. It's perplexing that people are taking sides in this situation. There's no valid reason for it, and they should behave like adults. Making awkward jokes occasionally is one thing, but persisting despite being confronted by you is another. Izzy should have responded with genuine remorse and assurance that it wouldn't happen again. However, her refusal to do so suggests that she's aware of her actions and harbors jealousy towards you. Anyone siding with Izzy has provided an opportunity for you to invite others to your wedding. On a separate note, I've had ongoing issues with my soon-to-be husband's sister, let's call her Mia. We don't click very well, and while I'm polite, I wouldn't consider us friends. His family insisted I make her a bridesmaid, or she would be upset. To address her insecurities about her weight, I tried to accommodate her during bridesmaid dress shopping. However, it's been a nightmare. We can't find a dress she likes, and the options that the rest of the bridesmaids and I agree on don't meet her standards. To resolve this, I presented two options. Either everyone chooses a dress from a collection to ensure matching but they'd need to pay for it, or I would buy everyone's dress but I'd make the final decision on the style. My 5 bridesmaids voted, and option 2 won. So, I chose a blue strapless dress with a mini slit. I liked it, but I knew Mia would have an issue with it. I sent a picture to all the bridesmaids to confirm the right size before I ordered it. That's when it blew up. Mia was angry that I picked a revealing dress, resulting in an argument where she thought I was a huge jerk. I told her she could step down if she had issues with the dress. She tried to get the family on her side, but everyone knew I gave them options and had seen me struggle to find something everyone wanted. She voted for the option where I pay for the dress. I didn't ask her since she and my mother-in-law announced she was one of my bridesmaids at a family gathering. The only way to keep peace with the whole family was to give her what she wanted. I've also gone to 4 different shops to find a dress for everyone. To clarify, she voted for me to buy the dress. Everyone voted for that. You are the idiot in every way. You chose the dress with the sole purpose of bullying her into dropping out. Use your big girl words. If you don't want her as a bridesmaid, don't act like a mean middle school girl. You're a grown adult, and this is your wedding. You should be able to properly communicate instead of agreeing just to be passive-aggressive or letting the mother-in-law walk all over you. This will be a disaster. Going against the grain. I say not the idiot. Mia voted for the you pick. Your word is final option. AKA the one where Mia doesn't have to spend money. She would have voted the other way if she didn't want that. The idiots here are the mother-in-law and Mia. Mother-in-law for announcing Mia as a bridesmaid, and Mia for being difficult. I'm fat, and if I don't fit the same dress as everyone else, I'd have voted for buying my own from a collection. Mother-in-law and Mia announced her bridesmaid status specifically to force OP's mistake was not stopping it then. Well, that clearly has worked super well. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure where you got that idea, but it's not true. I'm sure we can find you a place in the wedding, but my bridesmaids are already set. Yes. It will be unpleasant, but the best time to set boundaries is the first time someone tries to stomp on them. The longer you let people push you around, the harder it is to stop them later. Everyone's the idiot here. Your mother-in-law for trying to shoehorn Mia as a bridesmaid, and you for not having the backbone to say that you will not have Mia as a bridesmaid. Neither of you is doing me any favors by coddling her instead of enforcing the crucial not everything is going to go your way lesson from the start. My wife Whitney, 31, and I, 32, have been married for 7 years, and we have a young daughter together. My daughter's favorite bedtime story is a story I made up about 2 princes who fell in love. It's a fictionalized kiddie version of the love story of me and my first boyfriend. I regret making up the story. My wife handles the bedtime routine now, but I found out that my daughter still loves that story. I asked her to recite it every night. My wife tells her the story, tucks her into bed, and then cries for the next few minutes every night. It makes her miserable. I asked her to stop telling our daughter the story. She refused, saying it's our daughter's favorite and she wouldn't take away the magic from her. I told her that it makes her depressed and miserable every time. My daughter came down and saw us arguing about it. We weren't shouting or yelling, but she saw her mom crying again. My daughter feels guilty because she found out her mom cried after telling the story. My wife says parenthood is sacrifice and she doesn't want to take anything away from our daughter. I just don't want her sobbing every night. Am I the idiot? He was my first love. I was so in love with him, and my life was carefree when we were together. But he broke my heart when we broke up. My wife was a short rebound to take my mind off everything. Protection failed, and she got pregnant. We got married because I didn't want our daughter to grow up in a broken home like I did. I thought we were a happy family, but my wife shoves her emotions deep down and smiles for the rest of the world. She's a perfect wife and mother. I overheard her talking to her mother once. She said my boyfriend and I had a real love story and that she knew I didn't love her. Her mom encouraged her to keep the family together and told her that being a wife and mom was a sacrifice. What sucks is that I know that she cries a lot, but I've only ever seen it a handful of times. This is the first time our kid has seen her mama sad. Sir, why have you not told a new story about a prince who lost his first prince love but found true happiness with his princess and their extra beautiful child? Your wife needs to hear that story. You need to be telling your wife that story if it's true. Repairing things with your wife is the priority here. Kids cannot always get what they want, and that is okay. That's not how original poster feels. I'm sure he does love his daughter, but if you read between the lines, he lost his true love, his boyfriend, and his wife is not the newfound love of his life. Original poster explained that the ex was their first love, and they were so in love with him. The wife ended up being a rebound after the split. Protection failed, and she wound up pregnant, so original poster married her because they didn't want the baby to come from a broken home. So, I can understand why it would be a bit painful for the wife. especially in knowing that her partner didn't marry her out of love but due to circumstances. Holy crap, LMAO, now that's a bedtime story. I went from feeling bad for them to just laughing at them getting married because the children is always a great decision. It blows my mind that Opie wants her to stop crying but is not willing to do a damn thing to make her feel cherished or loved. I'm so incredibly sad for your wife. She really doesn't have anybody who loves her, does she? You are the idiot, original poster, for pretending everything is fine in your home. Yeah, bro. Why are you telling your child a love story about your ex? Your wife isn't happy, you piece of crap. You told your child a love story about your ex. Of course she's going to be miserable. Your marriage is a crumbling hot mess. Your wife is emotionally harming herself to make your kid happy. You married your wife because she got pregnant, and you were only dating because you were on a break with someone who is your great love. After 7 years of marriage, you still consider the other dude the love of your life. And you made up a story that glorifies the love and told it to your kid. Wow, just wow. I lost my daughter, Abby, 7 years ago. She was married to Scott and had 3 children with him, who are now twins and a teen. Scott and my grandkids stayed part of the family, and last year, Scott remarried. His current wife is Beth. We all knew Beth for a few years before the wedding, and she was always very friendly, though at times she could be a little pushy. Scott would always handle that, though. After they got married, Beth's pushiness got worse, and Scott appeared to have lost control. Beth was upset when she dropped my grandkids off one day that we hadn't added photos of her to our house and commented as such. Our living room has a display with pictures of our kids and their weddings. She felt her and Scott's weddings should be there. She was upset when my grandkids spent Mother's Day with us and our extended family, and we didn't include her. Scott wasn't invited either. Mother's Day is a bit difficult for him due to a bad relationship with his mother. But Beth said we should invite her too because she's part of the family, and then she said she's one of our kids too. I asked her what she meant, and she told me she's going to be one of our kids now that she's the mother figure for our grandkids. I told Scott what she said, and he was embarrassed. He said he would speak to her. Beth was also upset when my husband posted on Facebook about our kids, and she didn't get mentioned as one of them but as Scott's wife. We mentioned Scott and how wonderful he was to Abby and how wonderful he is as a father. We were all together for my grandson's birthday, and he wanted a mom's side photo. Beth attempted to get into the photo, and when Scott tried to remind her, she said she was part of the family now. He pulled her aside, and the photo was taken without her. But she told one of my sons afterward that she felt like we weren't treating her as a daughter and then said Scott never treated her as a lesser wife. We saw them a little over Christmas, and Beth was upset that we got them a joint gift for her and Scott instead of getting her one alone. She told me she's tired of feeling like she's not really family and she says she feels like we always put Abby first when she's here. Now, I saw red after this, and I told her she could never take my daughter's place, and the fact that she ever thought she could was outrageous. She told me the kids call her mom and they think the world of her, so why wouldn't we? I told her the kids have always called her Beth when I hear them, and she turned around and said that's our fault because the kids should be calling her mom, and they don't. She lost it from there. Beth stormed out, and I explained what happened to Scott. He apologized and left the kids with her so he could speak to her. I think they worked it out, but Beth said I was needlessly cruel to imply she's not as good as Abby and doesn't deserve to be our. I mean, she sounds unhinged. No logic would suggest she would ever be like a daughter to you. Even if your grandkids do consider her a mother figure now or in the future, that's not a transitive relationship. She is married to your daughter's widower, and that's it. There's no familial relationship between you and her. And if she's consistently pushing this agenda to replace Abby in every aspect of her life, that is honestly kind of scary. It sounds really weird. You've included Beth in what you are comfortable with, but you're not obligated to treat her like your daughter. It's bad enough that Beth is trying to erase Abby as the kid's mother, but to try and replace Abby as Opie's daughter is disgusting and disrespectful. Are we sure Scott or Abby didn't cross paths with Beth before Abby died? I'm not saying Scott cheated, but Beth sounds obsessed with becoming Abby or taking Abby's life for herself. I would like to know what's going on in the house. Are Abby's pictures still up? Are the kids allowed to talk about their mother at home? I mean, this can't be a compartmentalized thing, right? If she's this obsessed with becoming Abby to Abby's parents, what is she saying to teachers and everyone else in the kids' lives? The fact she had to be physically restrained from approaching her stepson's mother's family's selection, which is quite concerning. Oh dear, I'm truly exhausted by this situation. My son and daughter-in-law are residing with me to economize. I prepare meals, and we adhere to a serve yourself policy. However, she consumes significantly more than I do. For instance, if I prepare chicken, I would have only one breast, whereas she would consume three. Essentially, she eats substantially more than I do, and I don't opt for low-calorie alternatives. I refuse to substitute skim milk for cream, for instance. She is overweight and has been expressing bewilderment over the fact that I am much smaller. When I inquired if she was jesting, she affirmed that she genuinely couldn't comprehend why she was gaining weight. I pointed out that she consumes a significantly larger portion than I do, hence her larger size. This led to an argument where she accused me of body shaming and being an inhospitable host. My son expects me to apologize, but I find it utterly preposterous. It's just common sense that consuming 3 chicken breasts in one meal would contribute to her size, and criticizing me for not being a good host is unjustified. They reside in my home. I cook for them, and she simply didn't appreciate the response to her query. If you're going to be upset by the answer, then don't ask the question. I'm not at fault here. I conveyed to my daughter-in-law, I apologize if my cooking isn't aligning with your dietary preferences. I'll refrain from preparing meals for you and will instead allocate that responsibility to you, allowing you to manage your diet. I wouldn't want to impede your weight loss endeavors in any way. Complaining is one thing, but it's entirely different when you're being provided for and fed. When I was living with my partner and his mother, I desired the kind of meals she prepared. So, my partner and I started cooking for ourselves, and that resolved the matter. As someone who has struggled with weight loss in the past, I understand that the truth can be painful. She's reacting defensively because she's being confronted with the reality of her actions. It's one thing to acknowledge internally how you're self-sabotaging, but it's another to have someone else point it out. It seems she needs a wake-up call.